So wow, the response to Figuary has been amazing. I think there's been more than 2,000 posts on Instagram with the Figuary hashtag in just the first 5 days. So let's try and keep this pace and this positivity going and just keep practicing. And the only downside is with that many posts, we can't get to all of them. We wanted to get to as many as we could. I wanted to leave comments on as many as I could. So in these weekly roundup videos, I wanted to pick out a few examples and talk about them, give some feedback, what worked really well, what could be improved. So I tried to pick some examples that we could learn from all different levels of experience. I wanted to show these drawings from Kaibot or Chaibot because I liked the mindset. He's just gone for it with these drawings. And that mindset works well with the material he's used, a pen. Because pen doesn't allow for much correction. You've got to accept that things can go completely wrong with that material, and that acceptance is a good mindset. This is by Alberto. He did a fantastic job focusing on what was important in the pose. And there's this big dramatic curve, and one thing I loved in his drawing is this zigzag that he brought into it. The shadows on the figure create this pattern quite subtly, and he's really gone for it. He's brought it out as something he cares about. My main bit of feedback for Alberto on this pose would be that the head on the pose continues that story. It's on that dramatic curve. And in the drawing, it's a little bit off that curve. It's reducing the drama a little bit. So those big curves and sharp angles we talked about, and we talked about them for the torso, but it's not just the torso, it's all over the pose. These important curves and angles, if they're important to the pose, you've got to emphasize them. And looking through the Figuary posts for this particular pose, I saw this was one of the most common issues. That head was being drawn a little bit too high, reducing the curvature of the pose, reducing the drama, because our brains are just conservative. They want to straighten things out, and so that's something that happened a lot. But a lot of great drawings, and this drawing by Alberto I really did love. This is by Yang, and I like how this big simple curve has been emphasized as a sort of defining part of the drawing. The head is curling back quite nicely to keep that curve going. And Yang also did a good job with these shadow shapes, helping to give the drawing some volume. But it would have been good to keep it a little more consistent, the lighting. With the real lighting, this area is as dark as this area, for example, and so that could have been matched in the drawing. The proportions aren't perfect, but I don't feel like that matters much for this, and I actually like how it's narrow at the top and widens as the curve comes round. I'd love to see Yang use a more powerful material, because if you're only putting down a few marks because time is short, I always think you may as well use a material that can achieve powerful marks quickly. Maybe a charcoal pencil or something like that. These are by Richard Powell, and he's really excellent at gesture drawing, as you can see. This ability comes from practicing so much that many things, proportions and seeing what's important, come almost automatically, to the point your eyes and hands can do things themselves, like how you initially had to think a lot about how to type on a keyboard, looking for each letter, but now it's probably quite automated. And he actually said he didn't use the full 5 minutes for this pose because anything longer than 5 minutes and he starts to overwork it. These are by Robert, and there's so many great things happening in these drawings. Look at how bold he's gone with these angles, that's working nicely. His proportions are good and he's done a good job simplifying what he's seeing. Now this was on day 4 and we covered that distance from the middle to each edge on day 5, so it's a little harsh to point this out, but Robert has straightened things out a little in the pose here. In reality, you can only see a little bit of that far side of the belly button, the torso on the far side of the belly button. But this is so common, and I saw this in a lot of the Figuary posts. These drawings are by Karina. She's obviously an experienced artist, and she's done a great job focusing on the key points in the pose, the stories in these poses, emphasizing what she cares about in the figure and editing out the rest. And these are by Struggling Sketcher, and I found this drawing to be so natural. I could feel the life and humanity in the figure. Having the head keep that dramatic curve is helping with that. These angles could be sharper, they've been smoothed out a little bit, And there's a fair bit of uncertainty in these lines, causing them to become a bit furry. There's lots of lines to create one line, and I totally understand that. You're not sure where the line should be, so you put one down, and then you adjust and put down another one, and that's completely natural. But it's also something that you can move on from eventually with more practice, because eventually you'll learn to put down light lines to help see where things should be. And then when it's time for your real mark, you can go for it with a smooth, committed movement of the arm. That's something we're going to work on in week 3. I think sketchers are going to go far with drawing and art if they can stick to the practice. So there's going to be 3 more roundup videos. I'm making them each week. Let me know how you feel about the format that I used for this one, if it's working, if it's useful. Also, if you want to make it more likely that we'll see your drawings on Instagram, because there's so many on the hashtag Figuary now, you can also tag us at Kenzo and Mako. You can also use the hashtag LoveLifeDrawing, and that might help us to find you easier. So guys, doing daily drawing practice, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be times when the drawings are frustrating, where you're struggling, and actually making 28 videos like we are is also really hard. It's hard work, but it's so worth it. And I feel like part of our role is to help keep you guys motivated and excited to keep practicing. But actually, seeing all your drawings out there on Instagram keeps us motivated and excited to keep on producing all these videos and working hard on it. So it's kind of like we're supporting each other to do these really tough challenges. So thank you so much for all your support, for watching the videos, hitting the like button, posting on Figuary, and all that kind of stuff. It really helps to keep us motivated and encourages us. And I hope you're enjoying Figuary. Whether you're having a good or a bad drawing day, it's all practice, which therefore means it's a good day, guys. So I'll see you here tomorrow, and enjoy your practice session.